Tamil Nadu's #1 brand in mobile accessories, Happy Pola. Enjoy your favorite movies and shows with our new level of sounds.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fours and Sixes with me, Swaroop. As always, I have
Gomesh, yeah.
Obviously the T20 World Cup has begun. It's gotten off to a really superb start. US vs Canada the other day, in front of more or less a full house. Today morning we had Namibia and Oman playing out a super over, the first super over I think in about 7 or 8 years of the edition. And we are here to talk about the first of the India games. It's against Ireland in a couple of days' time. What are you looking forward to in that game?
I think the biggest talking point is obviously who opens the batting with
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma, because Virat Kohli obviously reached probably a day or two before the warm up, and he did
Yeah.
not play that warm up. And but the regular opening batter, if opening partners are Jaiswal as well as Rohit, but with Jaiswal not playing in that match, it puts a question
Probably
where
indication
of Kohli, whether Kohli will open, or if Kohli is opening, will Dubey be playing in the 11, or who will they bring in to reinforce the middle order? That's probably the biggest question, and it opens up a lot of avenues and talking points as usual, as well, because both the batters have specific matchups as well,
Yeah.
in the power play, and in that sense, that's probably be the first thing to expect. How these two are going to work as an opening pair in this particular format. We've seen that Kohli has upgraded, Kohli has shown more intent even against spinners in the power play. But again, you'll have to wait and see how it works out in these pitches.
You speak about, obviously the talking points. If Kohli and Rohit do open, and if Jaiswal misses, we expect Shivam Dubey to play at 4 or 5. The main talking point with respect to Rohit and Kohli in the power play, Ireland do have a left arm seamer, a really good left arm seamer in the power play in Josh Little. We saw earlier today that Ruben Trumpelman did make the ball move into the Oman right-handers. He picked up two in first two balls. Josh Little can do something similar. A lot of left arm seamers have troubled Rohit.
Yeah, it's true, but I think they'll probably go in a way that how they went about against someone like Shaheen Shah Afridi in the Asia Cup and World Cup. Of course, it's a different format. Of course, we'll have to see how it works out in those particular pitches. But again, whether it's Josh Little or left arm spin and George Dockrell, you'll have to. They will try to go all in, because that's the whole point of both of them opening together to reinforce the middle order. They'll have probably Rishabh Pant at 3, given by the indication of the warm-ups, or Surya, depending on the score and who's bowling as well, because Surya again is not really positive matchup against left-arm spin as well. And they would need a top left-hander, the top 3 or something like that. So Rishabh Pant, we could actually see, and it could actually work for India, because as we have seen for the Delhi Capitals, in the Indian team he's been moved out up and down, whereas when he's given a fixed spot in the top 4, he's flourished, and as he did against in the Bangladesh in the warm up as well. So Rishabh at 3, Sky at 4, Surya Kumar at 4, and then there is Hardik, then Dubey, and then there's Jadeja as well. So a lot of batting to come up, which means they have nowhere but the aggressive approach is the only way to go. Will it work out? That we'll have to wait and watch.
There's not, obviously the sample size is very small, but New York is slightly bigger than the average IPL grounds that we saw. Could that come into consideration?
More than the ground size as such, I think how the pitch behaves is probably we have a lot
These
more.
are drop-in pitches. There's not much data to really consider.
True, and how the pitch behaves and how the outfield behaves will probably have a lot more to take into account, because we cannot go by what we have seen in the IPL, because of not just the conditions, also the impact player rule and the way teams operate in the IPL. Whereas here, I don't think boundary dimension is bit of a concern for any of the batters in this day and age. Most of them are capable of clearing it.
85 meters.
Yeah, most of them are capable of clearing it and capable of approaching it in a way that where they want to target, because it's not just 80 around the ground. There will be pockets where it's a little bit shorter as well. But what will come into play is how the pitch behaves, because as we have seen, some of the pitches have been really slow, and the outfield even was really slow during the India-Bangladesh match as well. Ball was traveling up in the air, but then dropping into the outfield and then bouncing off. So that is where how the batter's approach will come into play. But the good thing probably for India is that their top three is predominantly four hitting batters rather than six hitting. I know Rohit Sharma is there and he has the record for most sixes in international cricket, T20Is and all that. But again, in the power play against pace, he'll probably try that. But then he's still capable of finding those boundaries, and that's where someone like Virat Kohli comes into play. As much as there is a lot of questions about his strike rate and intent, in a kind of tournament like this, in the kind of conditions like this is where he generally thrives. This is where he generally makes those 40 ball 70s and hold one end while others bat around him. That could probably be the approach depending on the conditions. Even the last World Cup we see 2022, they went in with an aggressive approach, but then again they kind of went into defensive when it actually mattered. That will be the bigger question in the larger scheme of things for India. They will be approaching condition by condition, but when the moment comes, will they be able to step up?
Moving on from the Indian top order to the bowling, it's still not really decided who will partner Jasprit Bumrah. The early indications are that Arshdeep may share the new ball again because of that left arm angle.
I think Arshdeep will share the new ball because it's Arshdeep, Jasprit Bumrah, and then they'll probably have Hardik Pandya and Shivam Dube also bowling from what we have seen, which will also allow them to play 2 or 3 spinners, Kuldeep and Jadeja particularly. And because if you go with 2 pace bowling all-rounders and then 2 spinners, that gives them 6 options. And then the rest of the batting comes in. So it's Virat Kohli doesn't bowl, Rohit Sharma is not going to bowl, Rishabh Pant is not going to bowl, Surya Kumar Yadav is not going to bowl. Which leaves.
Don't you think it's incredible that we are in 2024 and we are ruling out batters just to not bowl?
It's what it is, because the next generation probably.
We spoke about in 21, we spoke about in 22, we are speaking about it in 24.
I think they have come to terms with the fact that they can't really do much about it until the next generation of players come in, so they're trying to reinforce in other ways. So, but what this allows them is to play even the third spinner, like say someone like Akshar Patel, because the top 5 doesn't bowl, and then there's Dube, Hardik, 3 spinners, Arshdeep and Bumrah. Because if you play a third seamer, that beats the purpose of bringing in Dube and pushing Virat up the order, because the whole point of Dube coming in is an extra batter, so that Jadeja is not your number 7 and then there is a long tail in the T20 format.
One battle I'm really looking forward to is Ireland's, one guy that I have a lot of time for is Ireland's Harry Tector, one of the best batters in the longer white ball format, ODI cricket. Him against Kuldeep, that could be nice.
So not just that particular contest. With what little we have seen of this World Cup in general, a lot of this small contests that is what going to make this World Cup what it is going to be, rather than just all the big names dominating through the tournament. What we have seen against West Indies versus Papua New Guinea as well, and even the low scoring thriller that happened earlier in the day. On a given day, it's very much possible that Ireland could beat India,
100%.
and in that, if for them to beat not just Harry Tector, someone like Paul Sterling will also have to do a tremendous job with the bat. But I think for them to beat India, it'll be the only chance. The better chance will be to bowl first and probably chase, because India are probably better at chasing. Virat Kohli is probably better at chasing rather than India in general. So in that, Harry Tector will probably be
historically most upsets. I know Ireland did beat England chasing that 330 in Bangalore, but historically most upsets in a World Cup have come when the so-called inferior side have kept the so-called superior side to a low total before chasing it down.
That's true, but I just feel that chasing gives India an advantage, because most of their losses in general has come when they have defending, especially in semi-finals and such. The 2019 probably an exception, but otherwise, all the crucial defeats have come when they are defending because they go into a shell while batting first when the pressure is on, and that's for India. That's probably the better way to defeat them is what I feel.
I mean, obviously, is one factor that maybe you should consider is that while the Indian players have been playing in the IPL over the last 2 months or so, Ireland have been playing international T20 cricket. They beat Pakistan in a match in a 3-match series. I think that they played. They did really well in a triangular series against Scotland and Netherlands. Do these things even matter?
Uh, End of the day, I don't think it does because as much it matters a lot more for teams that are not. It matters for teams that are outside India. For India, as much as they would want international practice, IPL is as competitive as it gets. Even though this season was probably not as much, but again, for Indian team, the problem has never been about international experience, especially when it comes to these particular formats. This is probably a question of fatigue after the 2 month long tournament. Probably a question of players stepping up after a long drained out tournament like IPL rather than getting some international practice in the conditions. Longer format, yes, absolutely, I agree. International practice, going early into the conditions, warm up tour matches will matter more. But white ball cricket, I think India have reached a stage where uh, it's more of a fatigue question than the exposure and conditions question. Although here it's a new territory, they've never played here. But what probably allows them, gives them a bit of a leeway is the way the tournament is structured, where they can take their time to come back and still make it to the next rounds.
Yeah, even a loss against Pakistan wouldn't really
Yeah,
be a big factor as long as they beat the other three sides.
exactly.
It should be an interesting game. I think India will obviously start favourites for obvious reasons, but it should be an interesting game. Do rule out Ireland, I mean, do not rule out Ireland. That's all for another edition of Fours and Sixes. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Bye bye.